Hey, Manosphere podcast. I wanted to make a reply video to your video on ghosting. I'm a subscriber of yours. I've watched probably 30 or 40 of your videos. I don't always agree with every point that you make, but I do respect you. So I wanted to present some points for and against the points that you made in your video, and I want to do it in the most respectful way that I can. You mentioned in your video uh, a couple of times about like being a man, but you haven't clearly defined what it means to be a man. So what I'll do is I'll tentatively define being a man in the way that I see it. I completely agree that being a man would mean that you're emotionally tough. In other words, you can let pain and unpleasant emotions roll off your back. So you're a bit like a boxer in that you just keep taking damage and you keep fighting. I absolutely agree. I think resilience is undeniably beneficial because the world isn't a pleasant place. In your video, a couple of times you use the term soft. I think I know what you mean by soft. It's somebody who is preoccupied with their own emotions. You know, they ruminate on their emotions, and it's counterproductive. It's somebody who is like the opposite of tough, basically. I agree with the psychologists when they say that ghosting is basically abandoning somebody. So, what I would ask would be why not just call them back? Don't text them, that's too easy. But why not just call them back and say, for example, hey Jennifer, how you doing? Hey, I just wanted to let you know I don't feel like this is going to work with us. It isn't because you're too soft to call them, right? I mean, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I do want to present the point though. If I'm truly tough, like I'm emotionally tough, and I'm a man, then I let emotions roll off my back, right? Well, fear is an emotion, so I would let fear roll off my back too. So I wouldn't be too scared to call somebody back. If you tell somebody up front, this arrangement is not working, and then you even tack on like something polite, like hey, no hard feelings, or I wish you the best. Like you have done your part in the interaction. So even if the woman you're talking to is crazy, she's a real psycho, uh, if you tell her that it's not going to work, then the ball's in her court. So if saying that to her does harm to her, it's not your fault. You did what you could. Let's say that the woman is even a psychopath. I can't remember the name of the lady, but there was a lady that was sent to prison, and she had texted her boyfriend like thousands of times. So it was a straight psychopath. I would actually still so and there's no communicating with somebody like this. It's just they're not going to accept what you say. I would still recommend calling back and and just like cutting off right there. And the reason why is because if you did your part and you said it's not going to work, then and if she continues to like harass you, then you're fully justified to block her or ghost her. I mean, you told her, listen, like this isn't going to work. See you later. If she has attachment issues or she can't handle it or something, at that point, it's not your fault. And you walk away from that situation with a winning argument. Another point that I wanted to bring up is it refers to the theme in your video of nobody cares how you feel. So the question I would ask you is, why don't you care how people feel? I mean, what kind of world do you want to live in? Do you want to live in a world where nobody cares how you feel? Like, do you want to live in a world where people shit on you and disrespect you and treat you with indignity? I mean, a really good example of somebody who genuinely didn't care how anybody felt was Dahmer. I mean, take for instance, if I decided that when I made this video, I wasn't going to care how you felt at all, and I spent the entire time just shitting on you and making the entire video into a hit piece. I mean, if you're really really tough and you don't care, then you wouldn't care if I did a hit piece on you. Is that really true? I got to be honest with you. If somebody on you in public and you really just don't feel anything, you don't feel any anger or resentment or something like that, then I truly envy you. That would be an incredible attribute to have as a person. But unfortunately, if somebody on me in public, the truth is I would care. Okay, so now those are the main counterpoints I wanted to present. So now I want to actually bolster the argument that you make in your video. This is how I present that argument. As I mentioned before, it is absolutely important to be tough. This is, like I said, this is a shitty world, so it's really important to have resilience. So let's say that you were dropped into a jungle, okay, and you learn very quickly how unpleasant the jungle is. You have to resort to doing things like eating termites and dealing with hunger and incredible levels of fear and that kind of stuff. So I would say that if you look at this from the standpoint of ghosting, when you date somebody, you have to price in up front the fact that there is a very high risk of you getting hurt, and unfortunately, that's just the law of the jungle. You know what I mean? Ghosting is bad in that it hurts people, but that's just what happens in the jungle. Finally, I wanted to wrap up with a point about ghosting that has kind of confused me, and that is that there's an article that was written about the detrimental effects of rejection, and it said, and there's a link to the article in the video if you want to read it yourself, and it said that a couple of the detrimental effects are like lowering your self-esteem, okay, and the other one is surprisingly lowering your intelligence. I just want to say I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I haven't thoroughly researched this. I just kind of threw this video together, but there is one issue that I wanted to point out. There are a lot of articles that I've seen in my feed that talk about, the nastiness of ghosting, but this article is talking about the detrimental effects of rejection. Rejection is rejection, right? Whether I ghost you or I give you a soft rejection, you're going to find out one way or another, right? So the question that I would ask would be, which one does more harm? Ghosting or dropping a bomb in somebody's lap? Like, take for instance, say I reject you, or not. I'm sorry, not me. Some hunk, okay? Some hunk rejects you. If somebody straight up rejects you, isn't that going to do harm too? I mean, is straight up rejecting you, is that going to do more harm than ghosting you? Either way, if you're rejected, you're gonna get hurt. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, listen, playa, you're in the jungle. You need to grow the up. It's a dangerous place. If you don't like rejection, if it does incredible harm to you, don't date. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say in this video. And I wanted to give you props for all your hard work. I can't even imagine what it's like to sift through dozens and dozens of TikTok videos. If I did it, I'd have to keep a bucket handy so I could vomit about every 5 minutes.